So here's a topic that is, there's a lot of documentation out there. It's simpler than you think, but it's harder to kind of demonstrate with something that's meaty and meaningful. In a theory of a lambda function, we have to remember that creating a normal function that you and I do every day creates some type of side effect. That means it's taking up resources, memory, whatever. Every time we use the define specifically in Scheme, and very similar to like C++ and Python, stuff like that, we're creating something. We're changing a state. Well, it can be bad. Let's put it that way. Lambda functions can be much like a function pointer where it actually passes itself and it passes itself as a function, as a parameter. You're like, wait a minute, passing a function as a parameter? We get into a lot more of that when we get into higher order functions, which is in a few weeks. But a lambda function is created on the fly. Think of it as a local variable that's going to live and die very quickly, can be passed around like data, and it's applied arbitrarily in your code. So I don't want you to think that every single instance suddenly you're going to be using lambda functions. That's not true. The time that you're going to really use it is when you know two things, really important two things. Number one, you're going to use this function, and that's probably the only time you're ever going to use it. That's it. So you don't need to reuse it, and if you use the same function over and over again, it makes sense to define it, and then you can call it several times over. No problem. This is something that you know basically you're going to use once in your set of code somewhere, and that's it. So why define a whole new function where honestly you're going to use it once, be done with it, blah, that's it. Number two is that your lambda functions are meant to be simple. I've seen some lambda functions where they're massive, and it's not really what it's meant to do. So you're going to see all the examples here where the examples are meant to be simple. That's really what a lambda function is, because lambda functions are doing something simple that's on the fly, something short, something sweet that you're probably not going to be using again anywhere else in your program. That's the big deal with this whole thing. So you're going to see this in defining side effects. You've probably seen this error before as you've been going through some of your functions, is that every time you define something, there's now going to be a new procedure called whatever you defined it as. So it's going to save some type of location for that function in the memory, so that if you call it again somewhere, it is, oh, okay, the add function. All right, let's do this. That's what's behind the scene, what's going on, especially with a call stack or something of that nature. Well, in a lambda function, that's not going to be the way it has to be. We'll go over more examples here in a second.